Joint services vote June the 2nd. Guyana mourns Mahdia tragedy, and Guyana receives another royalty payment. I'm Rico Bulford, and this is Uncut News. Do see news happening? Send us a tip on WhatsApp at 592-659-6154. GCOM has set June the 2nd as the day for the discipline services to vote, 10 days ahead of the June 12th local government elections, when the general population will cast their ballots. Voting for the discipline services is traditionally held separate from the general population because they will be ensuring law and order is maintained when the general population votes. GCOM has been preparing for the local government election by training management and polling day staff, receiving applications for symbols from political parties and approving symbols for the upcoming elections. The European Union Election Observation Mission made 26 recommendations for improving national elections back in March 2021. A follow-up mission reported that 2 of the recommendations were fully implemented out of the 26. Many were partially implemented, and some remain untouched. The fully implemented recommendations were for a clear tabulation process and increased transparency in the results process. The follow-up mission hopes that the remaining recommendations will be addressed ahead of the 2025 elections, including accountability and campaign financing, which would probably never happen, but nevertheless, discontinuation of the use of state assets by political parties during election campaigning, and the establishment of a comprehensive election dispute resolution system. Now to the Mahdia tragedy. The government has taken a decision to tone down the nation's 57th Independence Day celebrations, which were scheduled to take place in Letham from tomorrow. The event will now be observed as a night of remembrance and prayer for those who lost their lives in the fire. Meanwhile, 7 of the 19 girls injured in the fire have been discharged from the Georgetown Public Hospital and are currently receiving counseling. 1 girl had limb-saving surgery and another is currently in critical but stable condition. 12 girls remain hospitalized, and some parents have been brought to the city to comfort their children. Survivors of the recent fire will be flown to Barbados for medical treatment, while the Bayesian government has sent a forensic pathologist to assist in identifying the 19 children who lost their lives. Antigua and Barbados Prime Minister had arranged for regional airline Liat to transport the burn victims to Barbados with the costs covered by the Antiguan government. The forensic pathologist Dr. Shubakar Karapol from Barbados has already arrived in Guyana to aid in identifying the bodies through DNA testing. The police investigation suggests that a female student may have set the fire after her phone was confiscated. The investigation is ongoing, and the police file regarding the matter will be sent to the DPP today. Independence Day is coming up, so it's time to declare independence from breakdowns with Powered Automotive. They have reliable, high-quality truck parts and spares for your truck at amazing prices. Visit them at Lot 490 EE Eccles, or call or WhatsApp them on telephone number 697-0171. Save big on truck parts at Powered Automotive, the #1 heavy-duty truck parts store in Guyana. Tired of waiting on hold, tracking down a delivery driver, or carrying cash for your food orders? GT Eat is here to make your life easier. Guyana's first cashless food ordering and delivery app. Choose from Georgetown's top restaurants, pay securely with your card, and get your food delivered right to your doorstep. With the convenience of being able to order from your phone and the added feature of tracking your order, GT Eats is the ultimate solution for all your food needs. Download the app on Apple and Android stores and start ordering the easy way today. On a related note, Minister Ben acknowledged that the fire prevention systems at the dormitories in schools across the nation need upgrading. He specifically mentioned that the female dormitory at the Mahdia Secondary School lacks secured grills on its doors. Ben stated that efforts are being made to enhance fire prevention measures, including conducting drills and talks by the Guyana Fire Service at schools. However, he emphasized the need for a comprehensive assessment of dormitories to better understand the situation and to improve fire safety overall. Now in business news, Citizen Bank has recorded over $800 million in after-tax profit for the first 6 months of the 2023 fiscal year, a 16.1% increase from the same period in 2022. The bank's net interest income was $2 billion, an increase from $1.7 billion in 2022, while operating expenses increased by 19%. The bank's net loans and advance balances, net investments, and total deposits balance all increased. The board of directors approved an interim dividend payment of $1.15 per share compared to $1 last year. Citizens Bank Guyana Incorporated expressed optimism about the nation's projected economic growth for 2023, and yet they aren't making it that much easier to get loans from them. Oh well. Now in crime news, 46-year-old construction worker known as Terry was brutally beaten to death at his home in Georgetown. The attack was carried out by three men who gained access to the property by scaling the back fence. They confronted Terry on the veranda and beat him mercilessly with a piece of wood, causing severe head injuries. Terry sought refuge in a neighbor's yard, but the assailants found him and continued the assault. His body was discovered later, dead. There had reportedly been a past dispute between one of the alleged suspects and Terry. The police are investigating the case and the family is seeking justice for his murder. Meanwhile, 84-year-old broom vendor Elaine Williams was fatally struck by a waste disposal truck while crossing the Buxton Public Road on the East Coast yesterday. Williams was returning home after selling brooms at Georgetown along the corridor. The driver of the truck was detained and currently assisting with the investigation. Now for today's oil update. The GRA is setting up a specialized unit to audit oil and gas expenses with full authority from the Commissioner General of the GRA. The second Exxon cost oil audit of expenses totaling US $9 billion is being undertaken by a consortium of local companies, with the post-2017 sum believed to be over $9 billion. The audit of cost oil claims is critical to ensuring that the nation does not lose out on millions in oil revenues due to them overcharging us. And finally, the nation has received 20% of the projected US $1.63 billion in 2023 oil revenues, with US $272.7 million from 2 profit oil lifts and 2 quarterly royalty payments. Ghana expects 2 more quarterly royalty payments, totaling US $114.3 million for this year, and most of its 17 crude lifts from the Starbuck block in the later part of the year. The other 2 payments are expected in July and October. Ghana receives approximately a 14.5% stake in the early days of production, which is expected to increase considerably after several years. Exxon is producing about 380,000 barrels of oil per day from the Liza field.
Robbery season might be over, but the streets are still mean. That's why you need to get security for your home or business with Sheriff Security. Sheriff Security has well-trained guards, armed and unarmed patrol, marine patrol, canine services. These people even got drones. Why? Because your security is their highest priority. You've seen the rest. Now hire the best. Hire Sheriff Security Service today.
Now for our Uncut News Views Poll question of the day. Every day we pose a question about current events in Ghana, the region, the diaspora, and our youth for at least twice. Last night I asked, what should we do as a nation in response to the fire?
But before we get to that, I'm proud to announce our latest addition to the Noble Army, Richard Singh, who is supporting us at the reporter level, the highest level of monthly support we've received so far. So thank you, Richard Singh. And also, a special thank you to David Griffith, Dion Nascimento, Project Zero, and Dimitri V. I appreciate you all. And if you're watching at home and you'd like to support our movement, just hit the link in the video description.
There were many answers, so I tried to summarize some of this, such as Navindra Law, Richie K, Davi Samaru, and Lash all hold similar sentiments, with Lash saying, quote, fire drills in school at least 2 times a year, fire extinguishers in key locations with both students and teachers knowledgeable and trained on how to use them, annual meetings with the fire stations, to schools to do presentations on the importance of practicing safety in schools, and the devastation fire can cause, and finally, have the government finance fire safety programs across the nation. These programs can be designed by individuals, NGOs, and other institutions with the technical know-how. A population that knows better can do better. Let's get on top of this, folks. And also, if Noriko would be open to starting or ending the shows with a safety moment similar to the anti-drinking and driving messages. Just one day in every day of the week. Alright. You know what? I actually really like that idea, so I will incorporate that very soon. Thank you. Meanwhile, Jerry Banks, Biz Boy, both hold similar sentiments, saying that it should be mandatory for all public buildings, not just government-owned, but also privately owned, to be equipped with smoke detectors and fire extinguishers. And new buildings should actually have fire suppression systems and more than one emergency exit. He also calls for mandatory education, really just making fire safety into a national program of education, and for the nation to stop being reactive and to be more proactive. Indeed. Sorry we couldn't read everyone's answers tonight, but we're short on time. So if you didn't answer last night's question, it's okay because now it's time for tonight's. The president had declared 3 days of mourning. How do you feel about the government and opposition's action so far? Are they handling this crisis with a sense of care and grace? Or does it seem like some are just using this for political mileage? I honestly want to hear from you. So, think about that question. Tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in our next episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight. Check us out tomorrow for another. Until then, I'm your good Bullfoot saying good night, folks.